Hi guys, this is Katie the Introverted Reader, and I've got a surprise for you. I just got home from getting my hair did, and I'm like, who is this woman? I don't know who this woman is. I never look like this. It's only when I get my hair done I look like this. But anyway, yes, I got my hair done, finally. But we're not here to talk about my hair. We are here to talk about all of the books that I read in the month of July. I somehow managed to read 5 books in July. Again, don't really know how that happened, given, I was participating in Sunrise on the Readathon, hosted by our lovely head librarian, Katie Colson. I will tag her down below, but on the off chance that you watch this, Katie, I just want to let you know, I flopped. I flopped and I flopped hard. I really why did I pick to do a readathon during the same month I was going to go on a trip? Why did I do that? But anyway, before we get to it, let's take a drink. Okay, so let's talk about all the books I read. I actually ended up DNFing 2. Which I'll talk about momentarily, but let's talk about the ones that I finished in completion. The first one being The Merciless Ones by Namina Forna. I read this in full. I listened to the audiobook of this, and I liked it okay. I think in the end I gave it 3 stars. Not the best sequel to The Gilded Ones, which y'all know that I love. I love that book. I thought it was great. This one, I don't remember much, if I'm being honest, because I think I started it in June and then finished it in July. And it's been a while. I've read other things. I've done other things. I've been living. So I don't remember much, but I remember thinking, it's all right. And I gave it 3 stars. And then, you know the drill by now. I read another novella in this, and I'm actually nearing the end. Of this. I don't have that. How many novellas have I got left? I think maybe like 2 or 3. Yeah, 3 more. I've got 3 novellas left in here, and I'm actually a bit sad, just because you know I love the Shadowhunter world a lot, so... But the one that I read was called... What was it even called? Again, it's been a while. The Land I Lost was what it was called. And yeah, it's just fun little novellas set within the Shadowhunter world. And you know I love the Shadowhunters. You know I do. And again, don't have that many novellas left. And I was sitting thinking about this. I was like, I'm generally going to be sad when I finish this. Like, do I need to go back and reread Mortal Instruments? Have I reached that? Like, am I that desperate? But anyway, the one that I read, I remember I gave a 4.5 on the Goodreads. The next one I read in completion was Spellbound by Georgia Layton. I believe her last name is pronounced. If it's pronounced any different, let me know. This was the Introverted Reader Book Club pick for the month of July, and I think I gave it 3 stars in the end. I have an entire review for this book on my channel if you want to. Sorry, I'm so vain, I keep looking at myself. I have an entire review of this book on my channel if you want to go and get my full feelings and thoughts on this. It's basically it's meant to be like a Sleeping Beauty retelling, kind of. It's meant to be like a feminist retelling of Sleeping Beauty or whatever, but sure, go watch my review and judge for yourselves what you think about that. And then, okay, so I'll talk about a book that I read on my Kindle. The first book I read on my Kindle was Funny Story by Emily Henry. And you guys, Emily Henry's back, yes! Because I was a bit nervous about reading another one of her books because, I attempted to read Happy Place, and it was wasn't a fun time. But I read Funny Story, which is about our main girl Daphne, who was engaged to a guy called Peter, but then Peter cheats on her with his female best friend Petra. I know, Peter and Petra, like what's that about? The two of them were engaged, like literally about to walk down the aisle. Like she had bought her dress, things were arranged, and then he cheats on her during his bachelor party. And and he kicks her out of their house that they bought together, that they were going to live in, and she ends up having to stay with Petra's ex-boyfriend, Miles. So the two of them end up having to stay together because Daphne doesn't have anywhere to go. And, and like with her job and everything, she works in a library and she can't, because all her money went into the wedding. So she's like, I've no choice. And then her and Miles get a little bit tipsy one night and they find out that they have been invited to Peter and Petra's wedding. Shady boots. And then in their sort of drunken state, they're all like, we should totally like RSVP for this wedding. Like we should totally go like together and, just like be as petty as they are. Like it'll be absolutely hilarious. So then wake up the next morning and Peter calls Daphne and he's all like, you're gonna come to my wedding? And she's all like, uh-huh. And he's like, you're gonna come by yourself? And he's like, and she blurts out, no, I'm going to go with my boyfriend. And then they end up having to pretend to Peter and Petra that her and Miles are now a couple. And they're going to come to the wedding. And it's, wow. And yes, I was a bit nervous about this because I was like, okay, there's a lot of people. We're dealing with a lot of people. Like these two different couples, like what's going on here? What trauma are we dealing with this time, Emily Henry? And set in a small town once again. Yes, they all love small towns, don't they? Why is it always a small town? Why is it always a small town? I never understood that. But anyway, her and Miles end up hanging out together because in the small town that they're living in, she hasn't really seen much of it, whereas Miles knows everybody. He works at a winery and a lot of the local businesses he works with and stuff. So he's all like, let me show you around and all this. And like, she works at a library and it's so cute. If you haven't read Funny Story by Emily Henry, highly recommend. I gave it 5 stars. I think it's the only 5-star book that I read in July. And that's a wee bit sad. It's a bit sad, isn't it? And then one of the books that I DNF'd, The Eternal Ones. The audiobook for this doesn't exist. Why? Like, the first two both have an audio version. This one doesn't. Like, not even available for like pre-order or anything like that, because I looked on Audible ages ago and it wasn't there. And I'm like, am I just dumb and don't know how audiobook releases work? Or is there genuinely no audiobook for this, even though it came out, like, a year ago? Yeah, published in 2024. It's been out for over a year, so it's like, make that make sense. But anyway, so I DNF'd this. I can't even remember where I got to. I think I was over 100 pages into it, but wow, it just wasn't a fun time. I wasn't enjoying myself. I was sitting reading it physically, and I just wasn't having a good time. And the main character, Decca, was driving me insane. Like, she was just insufferable. Like, I mean, okay, like the first two books, I was like, okay, I get it. You've been through some trauma. You've been through some things. But then in this one, it's like she's a completely different person. And it's like, why are you so mean and horrible to everybody? Why are you... I don't like you anymore. I don't want to be in your head anymore. So I dipped. So DNF the series, unfortunately, which is really sad. Because y'all know I loved book 1 and book 2 was only a 3 and this one was a massive disappointment, which is very, very disheartening, I have to say. I'm not amused. What other book did I read on my Kindle? Yes, I read a book called Blood and Steel. It's a fantasy romance. I can't remember. I know the author's name, but I can't pronounce it. Helen Schringer? Is that how you pronounce it? Helen something. But the book is called Blood and Steel, and it's basically set in this world where women are not allowed to be warriors because there's this prophecy about a daughter of death wielding a weapon and basically destroying the world. So they made this rule that women weren't allowed to be warriors anymore. They used to be, not anymore. And our main girlie, Thea, really wants to be a warrior. She wants to fight. She's trained as an alchemist along with her sister, but she doesn't want the alchemist life. She's like, no, I want to wield a blade. I want to fight and do all this. She gets caught with a dagger that she's not meant to have, that she was actually given to by someone, but I'm not going to tell you because that could be a spoiler. But anyway, so she gets caught with that, and then they accuse her of treason, but then somebody vouches for her and is all like, no, train her as a warrior. Like, that we need to bring women back into the fold here. Like, she could be the one to, you know, have women come back in. So she ends up having to go to the warriors' barracks or whatever you want to call it, and to be trained with all the men as a warrior. And there's this guy, the love interest, because obviously it's a romantasy, is a war sword. That's what they're called. They're like these legendary warriors, called Wilder Hawthorne. And things happen, things go down. And so that's a very basic synopsis that I'm giving you, but I really, really loved reading this. I thought it was so much fun. It was so easy to read. A little bit cheesy, bit over the top, bit ridiculous, but, you know, while I was away on my trip and everything and then coming home, like, I was just like, this is just what I'm in the mood for right now. I just need something that doesn't require a whole ton of brain power. I just want something fun and just easy to read, and I could care less if it's cheesy and over the top. Like, it's what I need in my life. So I read that, and I gave it 4 stars on Goodreads, and I'm currently reading the second one at the moment. So I'll talk to you more about that when we're wrapping up August. And then the very last book I want to talk about, I ended up DNFing, the second DNF of July, was Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Miss Suzanne Collins. And I will say, I watched the movie that is based off of this book, and I thought the movie was very, very good. I liked it a whole ton. I really love the actor they got to play Snow. I thought he was phenomenal. And Rachel Zegler, come on now. Like, Rachel, like, anything she touches turns gold. But yeah, Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, if you're not familiar, set within the Hunger Games world, is sort of President Snow's backstory of how he rose to power. Because it's set during the 10th Hunger Games, and him and a bunch of his other university students are chosen to be mentors for the different tributes that are going to be playing in the games. And he ends up with the girl from District 12, and he's all like, ew, District 12, ew, like, why did I get stuck with one from 12? She's gonna smell like dirt, and all this, and they end up falling in love or whatever. Listen, I didn't finish this purely because I couldn't stand being in Snow's head anymore because he's a class A prick. And listen, I know that is the way Suzanne Collins wrote him. That's the way he's meant to be. But at the same time, that doesn't mean that I need to... I just didn't want to be stuck in his head anymore. And second of all, I was honestly a bit bored. And I couldn't really care less what he was doing or anything like that. I was just like, I don't care about you. I don't like you. You're not a nice person. I And I realize that's the whole point. He's a class A prick. But at the same time, I'm like, you know, I don't like, I'm not going to do this to myself any longer. I'm not going to do this. And yeah. But anyway, I watched the movie and I thought the movie was wonderful. So I guess if you really are wanting to know more about Snow, just watch the movie. Just get the movie somewhere and watch that anyway, because it's basic, like, it's very, very close to the adaptation anyway, so it's fine. So yeah, those are all the books I want to talk to you about. Some got 2 DNS, which is a bit sad, but managed to read 5. Managed to read 5 books, which I'm very pleased with myself. Because I was feeling a bit slumpy during July, I'm not gonna lie. I wasn't in the best reading mood. So the fact that I did read 5 books in completion, I'm gonna give myself a pat on the back for that one. Like, good job, good job. Anyway, that's all it is for today. I'm going to stop rambling and looking at myself in this camera like a horrible, vain person. But anyway, hope you are all doing well. Hope your reading month was better than mine. Let me know if you read any favorites this month. Did you read any of these that I mentioned? Like, do you feel the same way about this series? Did you read this? Did you read Spellbound? What did you think of Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes? Let me know everything in the comments. My socials will be down below as always. Blue Sky, Instagram and Threads, TikTok. Subscribe to this channel if you want to. Thank you to everybody new that has subscribed. Thank you so much. Leave a like so the algorithm knows you like me. And yeah, I'll see you in my next one. Bye.